You are now locked in to the Beyond the Hashtag podcast.
BTHPOD.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Beyond the Hashtag. We are back with a very special episode. It's a kind of episode that we wanted to do for a hot minute. It's a local episode. It's one that's close to home, and it's one that took me all the way to where's Burton. Burton upon Trent. I had to go all the way there to make this episode happen, and then come all the way back to where we are in East London to make this happen. But I'm grateful it happened. So I'm your host, Stephen Adu, as you all know, and I'm really glad to bring back the Beyond the Hashtag episodes because it's been a while. And yeah, I'm very happy. As those of you who are watching on YouTube will see, I've got two very special guests with me. Those of you online, I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second as well. But we're going to be talking today specifically about Black coaches and Black management in British football, and yeah, just kind of unlocking Pandora's box on that particular subject and getting some real kind of grassroots feelings on how that kind of topic is going at the moment and where we kind of see it going in the future. So yeah, without further ado, I'll let my two guests introduce themselves. I'll start with yourself, Wayne, and then Paul can follow afterwards.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, thank you for having me and Paul. My name is Wayne Phillips. I'm a grassroots coach, have been for the last 5 years, maybe 6 years now. So I coach right across the spectrum. So young adults, men, women, non-binary, and persons from our LGBTQ plus community also. So yeah, I do a number of group sessions throughout the week on a daily basis. And that's really just to engage as much people from our underserved communities as possible in the game. It's a sport that I love. So yeah, just trying to utilize it for the better. So that's me in short.
Thank you. How do I follow that? But hello everyone. Obviously, really, really happy and excited to be on here talking to everyone. My name is Paul Iseghohi, and I also work across grassroots football coaching. Do some coaching in the semi-pro football world as well for a local team in East London, and I also work for a football charity working with young people all across East London. Different backgrounds. It's all about targeted interventions, so using sport, but particularly football, as a chance to bring people from different backgrounds together, inspire them to maybe become coaches, local youth workers, local youth leaders. It's been a passion of mine for like the last 16 years. I've always been kind of in that football, sports, youth work space. So that's kind of me, a mixture of kind of the mentoring, the sports stuff, and then trying to motivate the next generation into whatever that can do to bring us all together.
It's cold, man. Thank you, brothers, for coming on, man. Much appreciated, man. Yeah, we're gonna have a good conversation. And yeah, as we said, kind of at the top, like how we even met was because So I personally, I got invited down. Shout out Abs, who's one of the coaches at the FA, and he, like, I've kind of known him, like we've known each other virtually, never even met before, but he was kind enough to reach out to me to come to the FA's Black History Month event, which happened in October 2023. And to be fair, I didn't even know much about it myself. I just saw FA Black History Month, St. George's Park.
I'm there.
See, I'm there. I'm there. I'm taking this opportunity. I'm sure for yourselves, like, how did it get kind of intro to you, and then what was your feelings kind of like with the event itself? How did it kind of come about for you?
Yeah, we got invited at the same time through the men's team that we currently manage and coach, FRENFORD based in East London, where we are right now. One of the coaches there who's also a mentor to ourselves. I'd say that's fair enough to say. Really good guy, Neil Akhtar. He does a lot of work within the FA scene as well. But look, the opportunity came. He thought of myself and Paul straight away as two of the best people to maybe represent the club there. And then we got the invite through Neil. So thank you, Neil. And yeah, ultimately met you.
Yeah,
met you, man.
Highlight of the day.
The highlight of the day.
You're too kind. Honestly, that day for me, like, it opened up my eyes to so many things. Firstly, in terms of how many like Black and ethnic minority coaches there are just in the football scene in general. Because of course, I'm more of like a football lover than actually involved in the football scene. Like I've got a separate job, and this obviously, as my followers and my viewers will know, like this kind of a hobby on the side / kind of passion project. But like I've always like studied the game in depth, and I'm always aware of like the wider issues surrounding the game. But like to actually get an insight into like all different levels of the game, like how coaching is actually kind of being experienced at the moment, and also like essentially the black and especially the black experience within the coaching scene, like seeing that firsthand, like talking to people like yourselves. Like we made a big thing on the event of like networking and speaking to someone that you don't know, because I didn't know anyone, but it's just making sure like you made as much connections as possible. I met people from up and down the country, like Middlesbrough, the Midlands, like wherever. Like, so just getting that insight into like how much representation there is to some extent, but like, because from my perspective, I'm just looking at the Premier League, like the 92 teams, maybe the odd conference and stuff, and you're not seeing that much representation. So to actually get the insight into what's going on at grassroots level was like really eye-opening for me, and just even inspirational as like a kind of casual kind of viewer like of football, in that aspect. So but then for you guys as like coaches, like you live and breathe this stuff like every day, like multiple days a week, like how was it for you to firstly obviously be invited to like such an amazing like venue such as St. George's Park and actually have that experience, but then also like the interactions with the coaches and all of that? Like how was the day in general for you?
Yeah, I think it was a good day. My first time at St. George's Park, so obviously very happy to be there. It was interesting. I think when I came in, I didn't really have an idea of what the day would be like, what it would entail. There was a few people that I was really excited to see. I think straight away there was a session in the afternoon with like Warren Hackett that was on the flyer that was like, oh, this is going to be really, really good. I thought some of the people they had up on like the panel speaking were really, really good. I know there was a young lady, Sean, forget her surname, who coaches. I was kind of aware of her from being in similar spaces, and I believe there was another lady, Estelle, I forget her surname as well. But again, those are people that straight away I kind of knew from this kind of London space. I was quite interested, so it was powerful to kind of hear about their story. Obviously, the theme was celebrating our sisters, so there was a lot of powerful young women in the room that were kind of sharing their stories, which I really, really enjoyed. But I think the highlight for me on the day was I really liked Warren Hackett's session, how he delivered it, how he kind of structured it, and then having the opportunity to kind of network with other people doing the same thing that we do. I think was really, really powerful. I met some people from like Manchester way, a couple of people from the Midlands, and obviously there's been like a few groups off the back of that where people were able to connect with. So that was good to kind of come out the London bubble and just remember we're kind of everywhere, anywhere, even included England. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I think there's a few things they could have done to tweak it, to make it a bit more impactful.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
And there was a few really good takeaways.
Yeah, no, 100% want to second all of what you said. For me, I knew the power of grassroots. Obviously, like I said, I'm in it fully. I'm fully immersed in it. So I know the power of grassroots and grassroots coaches. It was just great to meet up with, multiple other coaches across the country, all in one space, just to kind of see the work that I'm doing. I'm not alone. There's 100 other coaches, getting up every morning, every evening, rain, sleet or snow, preparing their sessions, making sure they're providing safe environments for their participants. And it was just great to be in a space with football lovers at a grassroots level at the same time, and just kind of share our passion together. And it was just, it was amazing for me in that respect, because I already knew the power, but it was just a confirmation of that when I was there. It was a really good confirmation of that. Like Paul said, we was honouring our sisters, so it was great to see our women coaches, black women coaches there, and how powerful and how inspirational they are, and all the good work that they're doing. It was just great to see firsthand and hear their journey, what makes them tick, what drives them. Yeah, that was great to see. My only thing, I just feel more of a spotlight could have been put on them throughout the course of the whole day, but that's another conversation. But it was great, the fact that we were there to honor them, our women coaches. That was amazing to see. But yeah, just to kind of bubble it all together, it was just an affirmation of all the good work that's being done in a grassroots space by black and brown coaches. It was just amazing to be around.
No, facts. And even speaking of like the good work that you're talking about, like even like from my perspective, like you guys and everyone I met there was like inspirational to me in terms of like what you're doing, like getting up every morning, as you say, rain, snow, sleet, like you guys are having this passion. Like for both of yourselves, like where does that passion even come from? Because for me, like I had a period where I wanted to be a football coach when I
Mhm.
realized I couldn't be a footballer.
Mhm.
And I realized, okay, I might want to do football
Mhm.
coaching. Did my FA level 1 and then just carried on, just kind of casually playing football,
Mhm.
maybe five-a-side. Obviously, I've always been kind of analytical with football. So I'm always the guy who's like watching the tactics, doing all of that stuff.
Yeah,
And I've always actually had a keen interest for like grassroots and Sunday league football. So
Yeah.
I'm like massive with all the YouTube Sunday league teams, like your SC
Yeah,
Dons, your
big,
BTHPOD.
big.
Like I watch them.
That
Like,
scene's amazing.
yeah,
Big,
it's good.
big,
Yeah,
big.
it's
Big.
mad, and like I'd like shout out to them as well because
Yeah,
like
100%.
the authenticity that they're bringing to football is amazing.
And you know we're gonna get them on the show, innit? You know
Come
we're
on,
gonna get
come
all of
on,
them on the show.
come on,
All of them,
you're
all
all
of them on the
coming.
show.
You're all coming. So
Yeah.
honestly, like big up, yeah, like Don Strapsy and
Yeah,
everyone at BT.
yeah.
Honestly, they're doing like amazing things, and and not everyone kind of appreciates that because people are still obviously focusing on the professional side of things.
Yeah.
But like you got SC Dons who are bigger than certain
Yeah,
professional clubs. Like
it's
it's
crazy.
mad.
It's crazy, but it's not because we got to understand when we're looking at the Premier League, when we're looking at elite football, that accounts for maybe 2% of football in its entirety in the UK. So what we're seeing with the likes of Beatties, what we're seeing with the likes of SE Dons and all the other teams that are online doing that great work, putting out that great content, we're actually seeing a true reflection of grassroots. Do you see what I'm trying to say? That's what encompasses the majority of the football that's being played in the UK.
Yeah.
But the TV screens only show that
The
that
2%,
that 2% elite level, which
Yeah.
you know is very hard to get to. But no. So it's crazy that they're doing those numbers, but it makes sense if that makes sense because it's a true reflection of the demographic
True.
of who's playing football. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, it's not crazy, but I understand why people think it's crazy when they see them numbers. But it's like, okay, but I can relate to this, innit? I can just, they're playing here. All right, let me
You can
get the
actually
bus
just
down.
go. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
Do you
not
know
a
what I'm
ticket.
saying?
Oh, who's got a ticket?
Yeah, and you know, wait a minute, he goes to my college. How do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many intersectionalities there. Like, so yeah, it makes total sense. And just to kind of double down on what you said, brother, you know, you're doing great work. You know, the likes of BTs, SE Dons, SE Dons, and the likes doing great work. Just keep doing it and keep making us all proud, man. We love what you're doing.
No, facts. And the top of my question actually came around to do like the passion. So, like, where does that passion come from with you guys in terms of like coaching in general? Like, what even makes you like what got you started in it, and then now what makes you like carry on that passion on a regular basis?
I went on a spill, so I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you because I went on a spill there.
Do you know what it is? I think it takes me back here. So I've been coming to FRENFORD. They used to be in a different space, more Ilford way, since I was probably about 13 now. So yeah, a long time now, coming up to about 20 years. I've been coming to this space, and it was just a normal youth club playing football. And yeah, I think I realized quite young. I didn't play for a team till I was 14. I was quite late in terms of that structured football. But I was always okay, but I definitely lacked that coaching critique. And a lot of my friends at the time or people around were in academy. So I was like, wow, like I'm never going to get there. You know, kids at school that were in Arsenal, Chelsea, etc. But I liked playing. And I think for me, kind of growing up at the edge of East London, having loads of friends in Newham, football allowed me to kind of go all over East London and almost be invisible when all of this stuff was going on. I was just like the football guy, which was cool, having friends that like played at a good level and tagging along because you know we need a level 11 players. So I'm in there just, you know, doing my thing. And I loved it. I used to love playing park football. That was my thing. All the parks, East London. So like whether it be in Ilford, whether it be in like parks in like Newham.
East Ham and that.
I used to go down to West Ham Foundation and Beckton. So I thought I was going to get scouted. And I think when I kind of got to like 17, 18, the penny dropped. Like, you know, I've missed the boat for football. Tried a little bit of like the under 23/semi-pro thing and just didn't work out for me for whatever reason. God works in mysterious ways. And Irfan Shah, who's the centre manager here, offered me a few opportunities to become a coach. Similar to yourself, he offered me the opportunity they funded my place to get a level 1 and level 2. Kind of fell in love with coaching at that point where I was a bit unsure about the next steps. Coming from an African raised household, it was very much doctor, lawyer. And I guess that just, you know, I was in that point in my life where that wasn't resonating with me. You know, I wasn't really resonating with schools, going through a lot of stuff. Personally, really struggling with my mental health. And I think being able to have some older coaches at the time, people like Daryl King, Irfan Shah, Neil Akhtar, I had some people that would always offer me opportunities. Oh, do this and do that. And I was always someone that was quite an easily influenced young person. So I think having some positive role models was really good. Got my level 2 before I was 18. Dropped out of sixth form, went to college, did a BTEC in sport, and I kind of just loved it. So I was doing loads of community sessions. I wasn't much older than the young people I was coaching. this was under Labour, so there's lots of random pockets of funding. So I was running around, you won't believe this, but I was in schools in Isle of Dogs, all over Tower Hamlets, all over Newham. And I was working with young people that were like at risk of being kicked out of school, slightly older people that maybe had dropped out. So I was working with a lot of people kind of between 14 and 17, even though I was only 18, 19, earning like 15, 20 quid an hour. I was working with London Youth doing disability stuff with young people that some were blind, some were deaf or partially sighted, etc. And I was just like bag of balls, jumping on the dealer,
bang,
bus, cash in hand.
That's it.
And it was
Real
lovely,
grind,
like,
yeah.
You know, at the
Make
time I
sure you
was
do your
working-
tax returns.
You know what I mean?
Carry on.
Word, man, word.
But, no, I was working at Primark at the time. So when I made the transition, nothing against people that work in retail, but I was like, okay, like I can work all day, Saturday and Sunday. I could do like 3 or 4 sessions in a week and make about the same money. And I was absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
So I had like a weird transition when I dropped out of sixth form, 16, 17, then did 2 years at college. And I just did so many random sessions across East London. Absolutely loved it. And I was like, okay, cool. I need to make a career of this. And I started speaking to the guys that are based here at FRENFORD, people I met along the way. I met so many amazing people that set up their own companies. I know Wayne's going to come to what you do, but I met people that did similar things when I was younger. I just didn't know what it was. They were just paying me, so I just took the money.
Yeah.
And then that was it, man. Fell in love with kind of this whole little culture. Went to uni up in the Midlands, up in Derby. Had a great experience, met some amazing people who do similar work to myself, but some have gone into the pro game. And I was okay. I kind of thought that from being a kid, playing Football Manager, being around, I knew about the elite side, but I didn't know you could kind of make a career at grassroots.
Yeah.
And when I went to unis, when I kind of understood, okay, did lots of stuff, started coaching the women's football team. We had players from Derby, Donny Bells, Doncaster Women's at the time, talking like 2012, 2011. And women's football was like my way into coaching a team. I've done a few kids stuff in terms of youth football, but that was a team. They all played a good level. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I've kind of done the women's side, it opened my eyes. And then after uni, I just had to figure out how to get paid to do it. So long story short, this was my first job working in the centre where we're here today, which was opened in about 2012. And I was working with like the local council, working here. And I guess over the last kind of 16 years, I've been on a bit of a journey, which has kind of led me to do some semi-pro coaching and working for a football charity, which is, I love anything to do with football. I love anything to do with young people. For me, being young was a tough time. I think there was a lot of crime, so a lot of violence, a lot of disrespect. But for me, what was great for me is like playing football. I was almost invincible. I had so many friends. I was able to go across East London. Yeah. I felt so safe. As I got older, I was like, wow, like it's because I could play, and I couldn't even play to a professional level. So for me, it was like football's this great thing that has taken me all over the country through work. I've had some amazing opportunities. And I want to give back to the next generation. Say, look, for most of you, you won't make it pro. I think it's like 0.01% go pro. But I'm really passionate about supporting, especially young people. I think that's where my passion is currently. But people in general, just enjoying sport, whether that's playing, coaching, studying, talking about it. So that's kind of what the journey I've been on. And I think in the last 5 years, I've been trying to blend football and this youth stuff together a little bit more. But that's where the passion came. When I was a kid, I was able to talk to people from different races, religions, genders, different backgrounds, and it really kind of gave me a purpose, gave me people to be around. And I want to be the people that supported me when I was younger, the Darryls, the Irfans and Neils, my friends. I want to try and give that to the next generation. So yeah, man, a lot of stuff. The guy next to you as well, Wayne's obviously inspired me a lot in terms of my coaching in the last 4 or 5 years. So I've been really blessed with some role models that are from our community, you know, all of them Black descent, African descent. So I've been really fortunate, and of Asian descent as well. So I'm trying to give back to the communities that I've lived in. Someone that kind of born in Hackney, has kind of Caribbean and African within myself in terms of my heritage, but kind of growing up, I've been around a lot of diverse communities. So I want to try and be that relatable face to the next generation that hopefully inspires them to give back, man. But yeah, that's it for me, man. Before I start waffling
Big up, Paul.
Yeah, you know, the jewels and everything I say. No, man. On the serious level, yeah, big up to that. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I know everything that Paul just laid out, you know. And my thing's always been about purpose, do you know what I'm saying? So it's heavy to hear him talking about purpose, because I'm big on that. Do you know what I mean? So, but look, with me, in terms of my journey, in terms of me getting into coaching, look, I played heavily from a young age. I was always involved in a structured environment, football wise. Got picked up early by a professional team when I was young, Leighton Orient. So I was there from the age of, I want to say 13 all the way to 18. Yeah, I was at Gillingham for a little while, and then played semi-pro for a little while at the likes of Yeading, Staines, out West London way. And I'm kind of streamlining everything I'm saying, but football's always been a massive part of my life, always has been. Like I said, always been in a structured environment with dreams of making it as a pro, you know. Unfortunately, it never happened. But like my wife says, maybe it's not unfortunate. You know, look at the work you're doing now. You know, look at all the people that you're inspiring now. Look at all the people that you're helping now, helping to lift up. There's a reason maybe why, you know, you didn't go that route, you know. And this was a path meant for you, so you could touch all of these people. Would you have touched all of these people if you'd have been, I don't know, rich and famous? Would you have even cared?
Yeah.
I like to think I would have. But you just never know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So no, I don't have any regrets as per se. I know I could have done more, but I also know at the time I could have had coaches that could have done more as well when I was coming up, you know. So what drives me is wanting to be that person that I was looking for in a coaching space. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that drives me with my coaching. When I'm coaching the people that I coach, managing the people that I manage, I try and put myself as that person that I would have loved to have had in and around, you know, at the time, that would have helped cultivate me and help me grow and maybe reach my full potential as a footballer. You know, I do my utmost best. I don't want anybody that's around me that I'm coaching or managing not to reach their potential. As much as I can do to help them reach it, that's what I'm going to do. You know, so that's what inspires me. You know, that's what really inspires me, is to help develop others, grow people, make them see right from wrong. You know, give a bit of my knowledge and wisdom, because I've seen a little bit more than a lot of the youngsters that I coach. And you know, yeah, that's really the biggest inspiration for me, man. It's just being the person that I wish that I had.
For you, man. And I big up both of your stories, your backgrounds, and the passion that you both have and the heart that you have to want to help others and to give back. I think it's just second to none, and what drives probably thousands of the coaches that do what they do on a regular basis. And that aspect of coaching in itself, obviously you guys are focused on the football space, but there's coaching in so many different areas of life, and to call yourself a coach and to do it full time, the amount of heart that you have to have, it's massive, to even kind of do that. So big up both of your things on that aspect. And just hearing your stories and thinking about, okay, we kind of know a bit about you, we kind of know a bit about kind of how we met, but then fitting into kind of the grassroots scene in general, in the UK now, maybe London specifically, how are you guys speaking sincerely, seeing the grassroots scene more on the coaching aspect of what side of things, the teams that you coach or the leagues that you're in, what is the general feeling around grassroots football from a coaching perspective?
I think
be as broad as you want.
Yeah. It is such a broad subject, so I don't even know where to start with answering your question. But I would say that I'm definitely inspired, because we're seeing a lot of coaches, you know, from our particular backgrounds coaching at our level and a little bit higher as well, which is great to see. You know, but more than when I was growing up. But there's scope for more. There's scope for more at a semi-pro level. I think we touched on this off camera and offline when we were speaking about how the grassroots and the semi-pro space is really kind of mimicking and mirroring the elite space, insofar as we'd like to see more black-owned semi-pro clubs, grassroots academies and clubs and things of that nature, black and brown-owned clubs. You know, what's going on there? We know it's really hard to get space in terms of football pitch, or even teams looking for a place to play each week, a home stadia. I think when you look at what the likes of Hackney, Wick, where are they playing? Their home games are
somewhere towards Colchester,
somewhere out there in Essex. Yeah, exactly. So they still can't get a base in Hackney, and there's space there. You know, so why they're not getting the support, I don't know. I don't completely understand. But for me, I'm zoning in on the question that you asked. It's a really broad question, but the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, how can we make sure that this grassroots space, which encompasses the semi-pro level for me, how can we make sure that we're not having the same issues that we're having at an elite level, in terms of ownership, in terms of, black and brown people, black and brown and Caribbean and Asian descent and African descent, how can we get these people at higher levels and influential levels at a semi-pro standard, at a grassroots standard? We don't want to have the same issues that we're seeing at an elite level, where we've got a lack of diversity and a lack of representation at various levels. We know there's a lot of participants in the game as players, but we need influencers as well now. We need directors, we need owners, we need head coaches, head managers, fill in all those spaces, and they're out there because we see them. We see these people and we speak to them. Do you know what I mean? And these great minds, we know are there because we're in the space and we're talking to these people and we're like, wow, you should be. How come? Why? Do you know what I mean? Like all these questions. So for me, that's what I'm really going to be driving. And this touches in probably to your question towards the end of the session, but that's something that means a lot to me. And I know, again, we spoke offline and we want to do a lot of work in that realm. So if the ancestors we'll be doing a lot of work into trying to shed light and maybe offer solutions on how we can get to this place so that we don't make the same mistakes that are being made at an elite level, which we'll also touch on at some point.
No, just before Paul comes on, like that. No, even that aspect of solutions we're going to get to later. As beyond the hashtag, all our episodes we always have like a solution segment towards the end. So it's like whatever problems we come out with, the solution is. And I've got a few ideas in terms of like even just on a general level, how those kind of issues can be tackled in terms of getting the right representation at each kind of space. But it's one like viewers hold on to that thought because we'll come back to it. Same with you, Wayne, and I'm sure Paul will have some thoughts. But Paul, just again your perspective on like just how you feel like the scene is, whether it's like your day-to-day role, how you're viewing like coaches in the scene, or how you're just viewing the grassroots scene, like from your eyes. I guess it could be like the race level, it could be the gender level, anything you kind of like see from your lens.
I think grassroots is an interesting space. I think Wayne made it interesting point when he said it's changed a lot. I'm a touch younger than Wayne, in case you can't tell.
We can't. That's why.
You know what? Backhanded compliment. No, like obviously, like Wayne made a great point. I think it's come a great way. Like I'm seeing a lot more kind of Black-owned or community-owned, Asian-owned, etc. Like grassroots organisations. Again, we're here at FRENFORD. They do great work. We're talking about the work that Bobby Kasanga does at Hackney Wick. There's like Sporting Bengal. We were talking about like the SE Dons, that's the South London, there's the Wall, there's ATs who are East London, kind of Newham, Tower Hamlets. So we're seeing kind of loads of levels, whether it's the female stuff, we'll speak about someone that we know, Shaz, who does the Super 5 stuff. That there's so many people doing so much work that we're aware of. I'm sure there's loads of other people that we haven't named that are doing amazing work. 100%. So in terms of what I've seen, it's great that in the 16 years that I've been kind of volunteering, working, whatever you want to say, in this space, I've seen a crazy transformation in terms of the amount of people that are able to access through the FA or through their own funding streams, getting stuff going on. I love how certain people, like, if we name drop like SE Dons, so like Don Strapsy, or if we talk about Bobby Kasanga, they've got very interesting stories in terms of being involved in that kind of street lifestyle. And now they've got to a certain stage where they want to talk about actually doesn't make sense. They're trying to deter the young people from that, which is amazing, because when I was growing up, all the stuff you heard in the music and from the elders was get money out, do X, Y, and Z. So I think it's so great that there's so many people. I think Stormzy's got that Murky FC. There's so many people.
He brought into Croydon Football Club, didn't he?
Zaha, I believe.
That's correct,
So for me, I just think it's amazing. Like, even as we're talking now, we're remembering people. So I think I've seen a lot of change, especially in the last 5 years. The gap is, I don't want to say getting bigger, but the gap is more prominent than ever. And I don't think it's changed much. I think obviously Wayne's a little bit older. He would have seen some stuff maybe in terms of players from like the 80s, the 90s. And, I was seeing stuff with players, whether it be like racism or issues in the early 2000s in terms of coaches and stuff. We've seen our players being exposed to. And sadly, we were talking offline about what we saw. So I was talking to another person from another sports organisation about they had people that are from our backgrounds that were at Wembley. And sadly, obviously, we had all of that stuff that happened and how they had to leave the stadium quickly because you don't know what could happen.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think in a weird way, we've taken so many steps forward in terms of having some ownership at grassroots. But I think that support from the top end, I think we can have better connections. And that's where I think we need more. I think when there's more money, I think there's a new TV deal that's just been signed.
The Premier League.
With the Premier League. So there's more money coming into the game. And I would love, as a fan of football, I would love to see more of that come down to grassroots. I think it's really hard in terms of the work I do, we try and do a lot of free sessions across East London, but especially the boroughs I work in. So if we talk about Newham and Tower Hamlets, these are two of the most expensive boroughs in the country. Parents are struggling to pay rent, get food, and then they have to pay for, football season might be like £600.
Boots, all of that.
The boots only getting more expensive. So, I think the top end of sports should be doing more to, make it cheap as possible for these young people to sign up to teams, especially those young people in these areas where we know they're struggling. I think we should be doing so much to put a pathway on. I know through work, we do some stuff to try and support young people from diverse backgrounds get into coaching, because I think that's the hardest thing. Once you have diverse people, we know it's the same in teaching. Once you have diverse people that are grooming in terms of the talent, then you're going to start to get a wider pool, because so many people that drop out for different reasons are going to then not drop out. And that's where I think that grassroots, that's the next step in terms of more coaches in those spaces, more owners. But I think we also need that support from the higher up, because I think the money is in the game. I think that's a fact. And I think sadly that hasn't kind of filtered its way quite down to grassroots. I think we see it locally. A lot of grassroots teams are struggling to find training facilities.
Folding.
We see so many teams folding because the fees that it costs to just run a team at any level of grassroots is only getting more expensive. And I think that we can have that subsidized by some local teams. And I think that, we need to have a little bit more help from some of these governing bodies and some of these people that are out there, because I think we need to be doing more, especially in the women's game as well. I think that's a big gap. A lot of the stuff I mentioned was in the boys' game, but if we look at it statistically in terms of girls' teams, most girls, they're not part of a structured team. So a team that plays matches, they don't play casually. And we know there's a massive drop-off after 16. So I think currently it's more support for facilities. I think that's a big issue. And I think in terms of getting young girls from diverse communities, I think that's a big gap at the moment. And I think that stems from maybe some of those female coaches from those communities not feeling comfortable in those spaces, empowered. And I think that's where there's a big gap for some growth, because I don't think we've kind of, in the areas I work in, I don't think we've scratched the surface in terms of how many more community-based teams we can have, how many more female women's teams we can have, and coaches. And I think that's something that I find quite interesting.
Just to touch on what you're saying, just a little segue. I find, and you know what I'm like, I'm quite critical of the elite space. And I know Paul mentioned, we need a bit of funding trickle down from there. The fact that we need to even ask is disappointing, number one. But we're speaking about young women and non-binary players in the space and the fall off. And for me, we've got to go back to representation. Even recently, I think there was a team photo of the women's Arsenal team. That got released maybe a month ago. And from what I recall, I think there may have been one player of colour, two maximum in a squad of 20 in that picture. And this is a North London team, I have a daughter, and I train, a number of young women on a weekly basis, from varying backgrounds. And for me, I want to know what they think when they see that, a team that they support, or, a bunch of players that they might look up to, but they look at a squad and there's nobody that looks like them at the elite level.
That's even wild though, because then even just thinking about Arsenal women growing up, like that enough black female players like done big things for them. So thinking like to get now to 2023, it's like we're going backwards.
I couldn't get it. I really couldn't get it. So we know more needs to be done at elite level, and this is why I'm also saying that. But people need to understand that represents not even 1% of the real football in the UK. Do you know what I mean? But look, because they're so visual, because they're front and center, they do need to do more. I know there's enough black and brown women with the same talent as the ones that we're seeing. Why are they not getting picked up? what is going on, where are the hubs
Mm.
for these players to be seen and given a chance, you know. And even when we look at the women's team, they did great. We know they did great the last 2, 3, 4 years. They've been doing amazing work, and the nation's pulled together to support. But again, you know, the lack of representation for me is a concern. And for me, I think, you know, that may be a reason why we're not seeing young women, you know, of a certain background breakthrough. I don't know, but they need to see themselves. You know, they need to see themselves. It's so important. It's so important. You know, when I was younger, I saw the likes of Ian Wright. You know, I saw the likes of Paul Davis, Michael Thomas, John Barnes. Do you know what I mean? I saw those guys, and that's representation and how much it meant to me. Do you know what I mean? And I could go onto the park with my mates and pretend to be someone that looked like me.
Yeah.
And that was of a higher standard as well, world level standards. So our young women need to see that. Our young girls need to see that representation as well. It's great that the women's game is getting this exposure and that it's pushing forward. You know, it's amazing. I'm loving every minute of it. But I want to know that my daughter has the same chance as any other woman. You know, should my daughter choose to be a footballer when she grows up, you know? So that means a lot to me. And that's why I do what I do in this space, because, you know, I really want to know that, you know, I'm doing or breaking a barrier or helping or guiding that next generation, you know, into an elite level, from grassroots into an elite level that looks like the majority of the people that are coach and train.
Yeah.
We need that broad spectrum.
No, facts. And even just that last point in terms of you got to essentially see it to be it sometimes. I think that's one of the main, like, kind of segueing onto solutions and stuff. Like, that's one of the things that I'm like so passionate about in terms of like seeing something to actually believe it, because there's so many roles, so many positions that people take up in, let's talk about the game of football specifically, that like as a casual child growing up, as like going into adolescence, you don't know exist. Like, in fact, so many roles in any kind of industry. So I'm a project manager by trade. When I was 16, I didn't know what a project manager was. I heard it on The Apprentice a couple of times, and it's like Alex Sugar's like, oh, who's going to be the project manager? But I didn't know what a project manager was. It wasn't until like I finished uni and I did a bit of research and I realized, okay, whatever. Same in the football scene. Like football, okay, you're seeing footballers, you're seeing coaches, you're seeing referees, pundits now you're seeing, but do you know how many roles there are like in one football team? Like or one football club, should I say?
100%.
So it's like, if I'm a young black boy growing up, all I'm going to see is like the footballers, the referee, whatever, the people who like get the limelight. So it's kind of like, for me, one of the solutions to kind of tackling better representation is to actually like give that exposure to people who do all the different kinds of jobs in the different football clubs at many different levels, whether it's elite or grassroots, and actually saying like, there's a space for you, a career, like in this particular space, if you have XYZ skills, like you can apply your trade here and actually have a career in football and not even touch a blade of grass, like your whole life kind of thing, but still have that passion. So that's why, like, for example, like my kind of platform and my channel, like, I'd love to interview so many different people
spectrum.
Across the whole spectrum of a football club, to kind of understand like what roles actually are out there and exist. So then when this content is going out and people are listening to it, and there's a 16-year-old being like, okay, I finished school, don't really want to go into the corporate space, whatever, but I love football, what do I want to do?
What you're saying is amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
The way you've broken that down is amazing. Like you said, like, everything doesn't have to concentrate on that pitch. Like I said, there's a million other things that you can do, which you've got the skill set for, you know, and you can stay in a sport that you love. It could be doing analytics, like you said. It could be so many different things.
The nutrition side, like
nutrition, so many different things. And giving that, and knowledge is power, right? So if they don't know that these roles are there, they're not going to seek it. So it's up to us to say, look, these are the things you can do, and what you're doing with this platform will show them that. And then when we connect, we're going to do so much, definitely.
No, facts.
Definitely. But that's so true what you're saying. Knowledge is power. If they don't know, they're not going to seek, maybe.
No, absolutely. And then just like with both of yourselves, in terms of some of the issues that we've kind of spoken about, and just like in terms of steps going forward, like what are like maybe one or two of the solutions, so to say, like where you think that should be applied in terms of like you're putting the emphasis on the organizations or the kind of leaders and stuff to implement, or even like for yourselves to say that, okay, like this is something that I'm going to try and do, and like it could even be a call out to help, to be like, look, I'm trying to do this, like, can you support? Or is it could be alternatively like, leaders, you should do this is the solution, like here's like me giving it to you, like go out and kind of do it. So like where your head's at in terms of like some of the issues we've spoken about, and how to kind of like step forward with them. It could be to do with lack of representation. It could be to do with like funding, but in terms of more of a solution to how we can resolve that.
Cool. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Go first.
I think two. So in terms of grassroots space, I think we spoke about after the Black History Month we went to via the FA. I think it's just all of us just being the part of the solution, us connecting, us dealing with all the stuff we can do. So I think that was the action. I can't remember who said it, but I remember on a day someone said like we all need to connect, and then I think someone then
There's a gentleman.
We're gonna get him on. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him on.
His name.
We're gonna
I
get.
remember him saying it on the day like, nah, this can't just end here. This can't just be a moment. So
And big up to him, by the way.
yeah. Apologies, I forgot your name at the time, but I just remember like that was a big thing. Like I think I said it again. I was having a work meeting today, and I spoke about being a young black boy growing up in London, in East London specifically. Connecting with people that look like you was like, nah, that person's from South, and that person's coming from there. And then as you get older in this football space, you quickly gravitate to people that look like you because you know how hard it is to get into this space, and you know how hard it is to stay in this space. So I say all of that to say this. I think that's a big thing. Now that we're grassroots, as much as yes, if we're playing a match on a Saturday, Sunday, or in an evening, in that 90 minutes or however long that fixture's for, yes, we're competitive. We both want to get points or the win or through to the next round of the cup. But once that kind of is done, for me, it's whoever has a club, has a group of people that they're working with, how can we connect? Whether that's moving players between the teams, whether that's opportunity to coach, whether that's opportunity to do something, earn some money. So I think all of us that are in this grassroots space, we need to connect all up and down the country, network, and just keep in constant contact because there's so many people of different ages that want to access our clubs, our spaces, and we need to make sure the barrier isn't my club's name is this, my club's name is that, my club is in this part. We know as humans we're fluid, and people from our cultures, we've moved all around the world. So I think that's something that we've started to do. That Black History Month event happened. I know myself and Wayne have been doing it a lot locally, and that's something I'm definitely committed to doing more of in 2024, God willing. Is connecting with people at this grassroots level and just making whatever the community needs happen and being that kind of local community leader, local community champion to support them. And then from elite level, I think, I mean, Nick Wayne's putting about the speed of what's happening. I think the FAs, the people, so I've mentioned like a Stormzy, we've got some footballers like Raheem Sterling's got his foundation, Rashford's obviously been doing amazing work. There's so many more, but I think now what we need to see is, I think I grew up in an era where they've always been doing amazing work. I think they've been doing it behind the scenes, and that's fine. Not everyone's has to do it in front, but I think now in this 2023/2024 world we're going into, I think we need to see it. So I think more of these people that are in these spaces, they just need to highlight what they're doing a bit more. We need more foundations. I know obviously Sterling's working on sending young people to education. I know obviously we mentioned that Zaha, Stormzy, they bought a football team. So we can only imagine what they're going to be doing in the next 20 years. I'm sure they've got a 50-year plan of trying to get to the highest level. So we just need as many people as possible at that top end, putting their money in, because we know financially football's a very expensive space. We need them kind of breaking down those doors. So we know like the likes of Rio Ferdinand, Anton Ferdinand have been having some uncomfortable conversations in the public space. Obviously I mentioned Sterling already. And then from a coach's point of view, we need the support of the FA and football clubs up and down the country to give more people from diverse communities an opportunity to coach at the highest levels, have these different jobs as head of football, head up some of these big agencies. There's so many of these jobs. I think we just visually need to see some of these people in these spaces in kind of the next 5 years or so to really kind of capture all of this hard work. So for me, it's that little bit of not just the players, but more the coaches, head of footballs, the community stuff, that real financial drill down, and that grassroots, we all just need to link up and be one people, man.
Love that book, man.
Yeah, man. Just to piggyback off the link up, 100%. Everything P said. And then for me, look, it's nothing new insofar as our culture. You know, it's what do they say? It takes a village to raise a child, right?
Yeah.
So in the same effect, same thing you're saying with all of us as coaches, all of these players, they're our children. Do you know what I mean? And you know, if I see one of your players moving a bit mad over here, do you know what I mean? I'm gonna let my coach know, but I'm gonna let the player know, like, look, this is how you carry yourself. You know, this is what you're meant to do. It's just looking after everyone, and that means everyone. It's all power to all the people. So remember that. Do you know what I mean? But just what I'm going to do just for me, it's all about leading from the ground up. Yeah. So I know a lot of people look towards the so-called hierarchy or the so-called people that run things, etc., etc. I'm from a different ilk. My whole thing is I'm gonna do what I can do here, and I'm gonna push the needle here independently if it has to be done, which I've always been doing. So yeah, it's just shedding more light on the work that we're doing at a grassroots. Is trying to make people see, especially youngsters, see that actually the grassroots space is the realistic side of the game. Don't compare what you see on Match of the Day to everything that you see elsewhere. It's just not going to fit, and it's not going to work out the way you want it to work out. But what I'm going to do is just keep pushing the needle, keep working hard, keep trying to inspire others through my coaching, through my mentoring. I hope the dream is that, the next generation of fearless young women that push through to the elite level. I hope that they come from my side of things, but I actually don't care. I just want to see it. We need that. We need a new crop that really push through at an elite level, right through to representing our nation, or their chosen nations. But that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And then just backing up with you, we're just going to do so much insofar as pushing the needle and making people see what's really real at a grassroots level, and how much opportunities we can actually generate ourselves if we support one another. So I'm looking forward to that side of the work, and I think that's one of the main things that I'm going to kind of look to do to help the agenda and push the envelope a bit.
No, quality chats. Thank you so much. We're kind of coming to the end of this particular podcast, and just want to thank you both again for coming through, and just even the connection that we had a couple of months back, but then the conversations that have happened since and will continue to happen in the future. It's the power of networking is just can't be underestimated, but the power of just natural networking. Because I said, that was just completely coincidence or fate, whatever you want to call it.
The energy just brought us together, and it was just mad. Where are you from? We've met all the way here, and you live right the corner.
It's mad.
Always the case, isn't it?
No, thank God always. I just want to close though by giving you both the chance just to plug anything that's going on. Wayne, I'm not going to let you go without plugging what is on your jumper at the moment. And Paul, of course, if you've got anything else going on, or just that you want to share to kind of the viewers and stuff, to kind of let them know any opportunities or anything you've got kind of going on that you want to kind of push or let people know. The floor is yours.
Go on, brother.
Wayne always has something. I'm just trying to network with people in this community space, in sports space, this youth work space. So you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Coach Easy 91. Those are my handles. Reach out, drop a follow, drop a DM. Happy to connect with anyone, especially if you're East London based. I do a lot of community work for my full-time job, which is kind of working with young people and targeted interventions, especially those young people kind of age 8 to 18 or 8 to 21. And then in terms of coaching, obviously do some little bits as well. So coaching, some one-to-one bits. So any young players or any players of any ages that might be looking for a one-to-one coach or some small group stuff, obviously feel free to reach out. And anyone that just wants to have my opinion or wants some support around how I've kind of made my way so far, always happy to help anyone that I can, because I've had a lot of help over the years. So that's kind of what I'm up to at the moment. But yeah, feel free. Coach Easy 91, Twitter, Instagram's where you can find me.
Bless up.
Yeah, kind of the same. Instagram, Coach Phillips 9. And you got On One Sports, which is a business that I set up in the midst of the pandemic. And I was just driven by independence, wanting to use football as a vehicle for positive change at a grassroots level, really shed a light on women's football, really try and attract more women to come and play the game, which they probably thought they couldn't, or maybe never had the confidence to come into the space and train and play. Just providing that safe environment, as well as a structured environment. So yeah, that was my aim when setting this up. But I really wanted to be all things. I do a lot of project work, so I'm behind a lot of tournaments as well, a couple of leagues that people will see next year. So we do a lot of work in that space. We've got our own products in terms of goalkeeper gloves and things of that nature. I recently dropped a jersey, my own On One Sports jersey, in collaboration with the Empowerment Group, which is a UK Black mental health charity. so appropriate cultural therapy for people of African and Caribbean descent. So there's a couple of jerseys still available. So you can go on to on1sportsmanagement.com/shop if you want to buy one. A percentage of the proceeds go to the charity, and they're doing really good work, the empowerment group. But yeah, just kind of double down on One Sports. I set it up to be all things in a football space. So it will constantly evolve as I am. But ultimately it's there to develop, and yeah, my motto is develop, thrive and enjoy. So yeah, that's what we run with.
Sick. Now, big up both of you. And as for the viewers, I'm going to put all the links, all the handles and stuff in the descriptions, like for the YouTube or the Spotify, wherever you're listening, and that'll all be there. So please, check out themselves, the personal pages on One Sports. Just get up connected. So many services have just been mentioned in the last 5 minutes. Don't ever feel like you're not connected to someone who's close, who's close by, especially if you're London based. He's London based, but even if you're not as well, just reaching out to hear what the guys have to say and to just allow your network to continue growing in this space. Please use that opportunity. And just to finally close with Beyond the Hashtag itself.
Don't close just yet, because I just want to big you up, man. Just your energy is Paul will tell you what I'm like insofar as how I kind of gravitate or not to people. But your energy is real, it's sincere. And I just want people to see what you're doing and really get behind it and support it. Because I think if we do, I think you can go anywhere you want to with this particular product that you got, this platform that you got. So I just want to big up your energy. I want to big up you as a young man, articulate, really intelligent. And I don't say that in an undermining way. I say that with nothing but love in my heart, man. And I just want to see you grow. I say the same thing to P. Do you know what I mean? Just good people. Do you know what I mean? So just get behind Beyond the Hashtag. On One Sports going to be supporting it. I'm going to be supporting it. P's going to be supporting it. Anyone that's got something to do with me will be supporting it. But let's help this platform grow. And the world is yours, man.
Thank you,
Trust me.
Appreciate it, man. No, that's love, man. That's real love. Thank you so much, brothers. And just to close up, as we said, Beyond the Hashtag, podcast wise, we went on a little bit of a hiatus in the last couple of years, but people would have seen started to release a bit more content on our social media. So please check out our TikTok if you're not already following us on there, just for short little clips. I do stuff like day in a life if I go to football games, just seeing some of the real things that are going on in the scene. But as well, the actual podcast, as we've just done today, will be coming back on your YouTube, your Spotify's, wherever you like to listen or watch your podcast. Then we'll be coming back with more consistent content very, very soon, like this one as well. So big up all the viewers watching. Thank you for your time, your energy, your ears. Thank you again to Paul and Wayne for coming through. And everyone take care. God bless.
Hashtag BTHPOD.